All right, welcome to the But That's Okay podcast. This is episode 5. As always, it is Zach, Joe, and Caleb. Woo! Oh yeah, that's right. Everybody's excited to be here today. So today we are going back in time 2 episodes back to the NFL because oddly enough, it turns out we really enjoy talking about the NFL. Mm-hmm. And this time we're not going to necessarily focus on teams as much as we are going to talk about different things surrounding the NFL, not necessarily on the field, but on the sidelines / off the field, right. I guess. Yeah, that sounds good.
Policies.
And it's kind of old news now. It was like a really big deal last season, and then the first of this season was a really huge deal. But it's kind of died off the past couple of weeks, and what I'm personally talking about is the on-field protests that a lot of people have been doing, both players, coaches, even, like the CEOs and different people who are in charge of the teams, things like that. But the thing that sort of re-sparked my opinion on this given topic is this past Sunday, the New England Patriots and the Oakland Raiders played in Mexico City, Mexico. And Marshawn Lynch is a very outspoken football player.
That's the way to say it.
In both good and bad ways.
Right.
He played for the Seahawks, got, the short end of the deal in that one Super Bowl that one time when they were like, you're only the best running back in the league. We're on the 1 yard line, but we'll throw it.
That for hours and hours.
Hey, if it would have worked, it would have been the smartest coaching decision ever.
It would have been, except for the fact. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, retired, came back, played for the Oakland Raiders. You don't need a backstory on Marshawn Lynch. What you do need to know, though, is while they were in Mexico City, Marshawn Lynch has been one of those players that has been kneeling or sitting or staying in the locker room, whichever version, throughout the season. But interesting, just a little tidbit, while they were playing in Mexico, when they played the United States national anthem, he was sitting, but when they played the Mexican national anthem, he stood. So it's sort of interesting that for the host country that, employs him, he won't stand for the national anthem, but for the guest country that's like, oh, hey, come bring extra revenue to our country, he does stand for their national anthem. What do you guys think about that? I'm very opinionated, and I want to hear your opinion before I spread my opinion on this.
So let's just get it straight. Mexico's actually pretty darn terrible. It's a terrible country. Do you realize how much poverty that country is?
Yes. I have a great story about my extreme dislike for Mexico and how I will never, ever, ever, ever go back to Mexico ever again. Yeah. That is this is not the place or the time for that because we're talking about football. So, yes, Mexico is not one of my favorite places in the world. It has a ton of poverty. Continue. I'm sorry.
Maybe he was going to continue to sit if he wasn't in fear for his life.
I don't think so.
They also are usually, this is completely unrelated, but they're kind of tied with the U.S. for obesity rates. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
They're right next to us, and they're coming near us for obesity rates. That's kind of funny to me.
See, Marshawn Lynch was being an outstanding guy, standing, and he was like, guys, look, it's not hard. Stand up.
Do you think Fatty Lacey would have stood up?
Eddie Lacey.
Do you think he would have
tried? Cheeseburger Eddie.
Cheeseburger Eddie would have tried.
Anyway, back on topic. I think it is okay to be opinionated in this regard for Marshawn Lynch. I don't get the argument of they shouldn't be using their platform for their own opinions because their platform is given to them because of their talent and they can use it however they please. You don't have to like them, but you can respect the fact that they are allowed to say what they have to say. And if the only people that at the end of the day that have the final push is if the owners don't want them. Mm-hmm. And the owners don't care because the owners only care if you perform in football. If it was the other way around, Colin Kaepernick would be the number 1 quarterback in the league. But he's a bad quarterback, so he's gone.
Yeah, he's not that great.
So
he just has this dark shadow where he was like, I'm going to be super opinionated about this thing. And then everybody's like, what are you doing? Like,
well, he's allowed to do that. I don't know why he started to kind of fall off as a quarterback. I sometimes think it's because of but even then, you shouldn't go from losing a Super Bowl to having one of the worst, like slowly going downhill. Usually, when you lose a Super Bowl, you figure out how to get better and you try and get back to the Super Bowl. But their team just went downhill. Mm-hmm. I personally think it was because their head coach left.
Yeah.
And I think he started to lose drive since then.
Yeah.
But just I don't see the argument of you're not allowed to use the platform in a certain way because I don't like it.
Well, and see, I don't think it's that necessarily because I both really, really appreciate and like the fact that they're doing this, but I also really hate that they're doing this because, like you said, these guys, these 20 to 30-year-old guys who are literally the epitome of, physical prowess and athletics as far as the United States is concerned, they get paid a lot of money to do nothing but go out and play a game. Mm-hmm. For them, it's so much more than a game, but at the end of the day, they are just entertainers. That is their industry, is entertainment.
Sure.
If we didn't derive entertainment from it, football wouldn't exist.
You're right.
So what that means is there's a ton of eyes on them, both young and old, and they are role models. They very much so are role models, especially for kids, teenagers. And on top of all that, they got a ton of money. I mean, they get paid handsomely for what they do.
Yeah.
When you consider all they're doing, when you consider their industry as entertainment, boiling it down to a very, very basic, I don't know how to phrase this, a very basic type of employment. Because they don't create anything. They're not providing a service or a good. They're just providing entertainment. But they get paid handsomely for that, which means they have a lot of influence. And they're televised to millions of people, so they have tons and tons of influence. And they do have the ability to enact change, both in their communities and on a national scale. And with how the National Football League is expanding, to Mexico and England, they're moving to a more global scale of influence. London is a massive Jaguars community. They love the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mm-hmm. I have no idea why, but they do. And those players have a massive influence there when they go to London. That's considered a home game for them, which is really, really cool to think about. Mm-hmm. So I really like that they realize that, hey, I come out every Sunday for 4 hours and I play this game and there are millions of people watching me play this game.
Right.
I have the ability to stand up or speak out against something that I don't agree with or something that I believe needs to change, be an advocate for something. Mm. I think it's awesome that they realize they have that influence and they're taking action for that. My issue comes in the fact that they feel the best way for them to do that, at least recently, has been to sit during the national anthem. Now, I don't consider myself a zealot, or I probably wouldn't even consider myself a patriot, but I do think that I am very patriotic. I love the United States of America. I'm very thankful to live here. There's a lot of people that say a lot of bad things about our country, and our country is not perfect. It's far from it, but there is no place I'd rather live. Plain and simple, there's no one who's going to present any argument that's going to make me go, oh yeah, I probably should move to wherever else. Forget that nonsense. That's not even, that doesn't even count. So when they sit for the national anthem, there's two sides to that. There's the initial side of, what are you doing? This is our nation's anthem. There's so much emotion that's evoked in that song that it plays. As soon as you hear it playing, you feel something. And it's because we've been taught that from a very young age that, we do live a very privileged life. We do have a lot more freedoms than a lot of other people around the world have. And we should be respectful of that because there are millions and millions of people who have died so that we can sit here and have a podcast talking about other people. I mean, right. Truly. I mean, there are countries where people cannot do what we're doing right now. Like if you do not realize that you are privileged in the United States, you're wrong. Plain and simple.
Right.
So there is offense that is taken from them kneeling or sitting or whatever, because from a young age, I was taught you stand, you put your hand over your heart, you take your hat off, and for the next 2.5 minutes, you have a moment of silence and you pay your respect, or whatever the case is. But I also know why they're doing that, because I've taken the initiative to be like, hey, why is Marshawn Lynch sitting? Why is Colin Kaepernick kneeling? Why are all these different players doing these different things? And they have really good reason for it. There's social injustices, and there's so many there's a million different reasons for a million different players who are protesting. It's just sad to me that they've decided the best way for them to do that is to kneel during the national anthem, because it's not raising awareness for whatever their cause is. I guarantee you 98% of the general public has no idea what these different players are protesting for. They just see them kneeling for the national anthem. And so instead of raising awareness for their cause or whatever it is, they're just distracting and creating a new dialogue, a new conversation. And in return, it's just like creating more, divisiveness, more hatred. Just it's you're
more
literally
drama.
Yeah, and shooting yourself in the foot.
The NFL is a ratings show. Anybody that denies that, I think you're crazy. Yes, it's a football, league, and it's got the NFC and the AFC Championship, Super Bowl. Cool. The bigwigs don't care. They care about how many people are watching. I kind of think that it's stupid that if it was all about football, they would never show you the sidelines. They would never show Odell Beckham Jr. getting mad after any play. They would never show anyone getting mad after anything. They would just go, and this is the game. Okay, they're in the huddle. They're figuring out what they're going to do. This is boring. Nobody wants to watch that. They're already losing ratings so much so that they're thinking about cutting Thursday night football. Sad. I think that's terrible.
It is terrible.
But they don't have people watching. I think to a certain degree, I'm not going to go all full-blown conspiracy theory, but I think to a certain degree, they were like, this is good.
This is something we can roll with. This is something we can monetize.
They are standing up for something, and even if we don't believe in it, we are going to get some money out of it, because somebody somewhere is going to go, why are they doing that? Or, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they're doing that. And they're just going to watch.
But here's the catch to that is, I don't know if you've noticed, and maybe I've just missed it, but over the past couple of weeks, they don't even air the national anthem anymore.
Right. I think it's because originally they thought this is a good thing, and then watched how many people were like, I'm going to burn every jersey I own. And then they were like, whoa, maybe we messed up.
Yeah, the market's doing what the market's designed to do, which is just to be free. There are people that are going to disagree, and there are people that are going to be very passionate about their beliefs, and they're going to choose to protest in other ways.
Yeah,
I agree with Joe on the owner's standpoint, though. If you want to stand up for whatever you believe in, and you choose for it to be during the national anthem, I disagree with that, but it's not my choice. It's the owner's choice.
Right.
Granted, if an owner says, you kneel during the national anthem and you're fired, he has every right to say that.
Yeah, because
again, I don't think it's necessarily going to happen with every individual.
Yeah.
If Carson Wentz kneels during the national anthem, I guarantee you he's starting the next game.
Yeah.
But, he maybe doesn't get re-signed. Maybe,
like 2 years ago on Hard Knocks, when Jeff Fisher was still a coach, before old Fitty got fired, they had this whole thing where they had an all-players meeting, and he told them, like, hey, this is what you do when the national anthem plays. He's like, you will have your helmet under your left arm, you will have your right hand over your heart, you will stand, straight.
And there's a lot more of that uniformity.
Yeah.
Now, just because it's something that they've never really probably had to go over because everyone that's in the NFL more than likely has played football for however long, with the exception of Chris Hogan. I'm so upset that boy played lacrosse in high school and in college. What the heck? Anyways, everybody knows what they're supposed to do. And then whenever you have Colin Kaepernick or whoever finally steps out and kind of does their own thing, coaches and the owners are just kind of like, can he can do that?
Yeah.
The most ridiculous thing about the whole thing is Colin Kaepernick was doing it for a long time before he ever was like televised doing it. And it wasn't until like one of these TV personalities were like, hey,
why are you doing that?
He's kneeling during the national anthem. What is he doing?
Yeah. And it's because they didn't have anything else to talk about that day.
It's like literally 8 weeks ago when he was doing this, no one cared.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks volume for him as a player. I think he did not even mention it once, did he? He didn't like once say, hey, did you guys notice that I was kneeling during the national anthem?
Yeah, he didn't go grab a camera.
He defended himself.
And he would defend him. Yeah, exactly. So I think that speaks volume for his cause. I don't think he did it for monetization. I think he did it because he truly believes something is wrong.
Well, see, but that was the other issue with Colin Kaepernick is when he first got like the publicity from it of like, ooh, like renegade quarterback in the NFL. The issue was like not only was he kneeling or sitting or whatever, he wasn't doing anything. He was just like, I don't think it's right because of whatever my cause is.
What?
And they were like, okay, well then what are you doing about it? I'm talking about it. And like there were so many people who ripped him. It's like, why aren't you donating money? Why aren't you donating time? Like why aren't you like doing more than just, being like, I don't think this is right.
I think I am right here. He does donate money.
He does now, but he wasn't. Like, it wasn't until he got called out about this stuff that he was like, I'm not doing anything. Well, but then he did. So, I mean, like, he made up for it, but it was sort of like, you're reacting. You're not really being a leader of change. You're just sort of like, man, I don't like this, so I'm going to, like, make a big deal out of it.
Well, I think he could, you could make the argument that he was biding his time until the media noticed him.
But why?
Because
you don't want to look like the schoolgirl.
If he just donated money and no one knew he was kneeling for what he was kneeling for, what does the donating money look like?
It looks like that he's donating money. He's giving assets away to whatever his cause is to help
like he
further the cause.
But he's not raising awareness of that.
But a lot of people,
that seems more selfish than anything, because it's like, oh no, look at me. Look at me.
Yes.
Now this is my cause. It's like, dude, why don't you take care of your cause? And then when you get interviewed and be like, like, huge win today, whatever, I'm not going to Disneyland. I'm going to go help whatever his cause is.
Because his cause was not at all televised until he was seen.
Right.
When he was seen, he then took action. He was not seen when he was seen. Then he took action.
Right, but he wasn't taking action before he got the publicity. That's my issue, is like, if I have something that I believe in, I'm going to do something about it. I'm not going to stand on the side of the road with a sign that says, look at me, look at me, look at me. Right. And then when, a news crew stops by and is like, you've been out here for the last 6 months with this sign. What's your thing? It's like, this is my thing. Well, what do you do about it? Well, I'm not doing anything yet. I wanted to get the recognition, and now I'm going to go do something. It's like, no. You go... I think you go enact change before you get your selfish sort of like, oh hey, now I feel better because everybody sees me.
Can I say that if he had just come out and said what he was doing and like just said what his thing was, and I feel like at the time people were not talking about the issue and people were not thinking about the issue as he was.
Yeah.
And whenever he got the publicity from kneeling, he suddenly realized that he had people that could back him up. Because people came out in support of him.
That's true.
That he did not know would come out in support of him. And when he saw that support, he said, oh crap,
I'm not going to get blacklisted
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy here. People actually think the same way I do. Now I'm going to devote my time to this because people can get behind me and can say, hey, Colin Kaepernick thinks this. Now I'm going to actually put my time into this. Because if he was putting his money and his time into something that would enact no change because he's not getting any publicity for it and he's not getting anything for it, then it is effectively wasting money. So when he realized the opportunity, that he could put his money into this and he could put his time into this, he did it.
Right, but I mean, here's a question. and I'll go on and tell you right now that I don't know the answer to this. Why was Colin Kaepernick kneeling?
Oh, you do know the answer to this though, don't you?
I don't. I do not know what social injustice or whatever it was that he was kneeling for. At least I don't remember. I probably knew at one point, but I don't remember what it is now.
It was about black people getting killed on the streets and about racism towards people of color.
Okay, so there are plenty of organizations out there. That did not become an issue when Colin Kaepernick started protesting. That's been an issue for more than
decades. Was not even put into the NFL ever, though. That was never talked about in the NFL until him. Right. He was the first in the NFL to have that talked about.
I think mine and Zach's biggest issue is that you said that because he did not have any publicity or attention for it, that it was sort of like a waste of money. Because, my thing is...
He couldn't have made it... Sorry, that's not exactly it. It's not that it was a waste of money. It is that he couldn't have made the most of the situation had he invested it beforehand than after. He would have effectively... his opportunity cost is the better term. Putting it in before then was way less than after he got his recognition.
I think if you look at it from a business standpoint, yes, I agree with you. But in the standpoint of, I'm a guy, not an NFL quarterback, I'm a person with a substantial amount of money, and I care about this, but I kneel about it. Until he was noticed, he goes, I kneel about it. I think it would have been a lot better on his side or on his standpoint, at least for mine and Zach's case, if, the first time they call attention to it, he's like, yeah, I've been doing this, and this about it. I've been donating this much money every year. I've been talking about this with other players, blah, blah, blah. But, and he could have just up in one day decided, like, I care about this now. Or, like, the first time he kneeled could have been the first day he heard about all of these social injustices, which...
And it was. Yeah. He was like you guys said, he was kneeling a long time before people noticed him.
Yeah.
Right. But you're saying the first day he kneeled was the first time that he had ever heard about any of this stuff.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
He probably believed that there was a racial injustice to this whole thing for a long time.
Right. I'm just saying I don't think his first step to do anything about it should have been, and I'm going to kneel during the national anthem. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, it got him attention, but like, if you're a quarterback getting paid millions of dollars and you actually care about something, you have a lot of time and a lot of money to donate, but instead he decided to kneel first as his first step of action. I just think that is his biggest flaw in all of this.
Yeah.
Let's take away time real quick. No quarterback in the NFL has that much time. Come on, they're a quarterback in the NFL. How much time do you have to put into football?
Still have.
I'm not saying that,
but money, yes. Time, no.
But see, I just
money, yes.
like how many you can hop on Facebook. You don't even have to go to like team websites or anything like that. You can hop on Facebook and you can see stuff all over the place where these players are connecting with the communities that they're in, that they're enacting change. I mean, the biggest publicity comes from
J.J. Watt?
No, not J.J. Watt. I mean, J.J. Watt's a great example, but just like these camps they do with kids, like they make time.
Jason Witten throws a football camp in Elizabeth every year.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. I've been to one of those.
So
I mean, like their football players are extremely busy, especially when they're in mid-season. Like, they are extremely, extremely busy. Like, no doubt about it. But they have the off-season. Like, if your team doesn't make the playoffs, you got lots of time off. They do get time off to go on vacations and do these different trips and things like that. So they have plenty of time to interact with the communities that they live in, that their team lives in, that fans come through. And that means they got plenty of time to be with whatever organization. Most of these players have their own organizations that they set up. The Peyton Manning Foundation, the Eli Manning Foundation, literally every famous football player foundation known to man that is for different things that they have set up for a more focused means of whatever it is, medical research or giving back or providing for those who are less fortunate, whatever the case is. So they have time and they have all the money in the world to be able to do that. My issue with Colin Kaepernick is just the fact that from the information I've been given and the research that I've done, yes, he saw there was an issue. Yes, he was protesting the fact that there wasn't like enough awareness. That's all well and good. But if this was really something that he was truly, honestly passionate about, in my mind, he would have done something about it. He would have been in the streets.
Right.
He would have been at these, shelters or whatever the case is, saying, hey, you want to know what I'm doing on Monday afternoons after we get out of practice? I'm going here and I'm, handing out food. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. If he was doing that, it's like, yeah, good for you. Not only are you trying to bring awareness to your cause or whatever situation, but you're out there in the streets. You're in the trenches. You're being a leader in this. Not just saying, hey, look at me. Now look at this. You all are bad people for not supporting me in this.
Not even to that level. I think Colin Kaepernick would still be playing in the NFL if he would have just done this one thing different. Doesn't kneel during the national anthem. Mm-hmm. Refuses to talk to press for whatever reason, and just goes about it any different way. Like, wins the game, and they go, all right, we're going to interview with Colin Kaepernick, and he's like, not until you all address XYZ. Walks off the field, and they're like, but just go about it any sort of different way than, because the far right, which I'm close to being in the far right, but a lot of the far right looks at that and goes, he hates our nation. He won't stand during our national anthem. And I think that's a lot of what we're getting now.
Yeah.
People are like, people died for your right to stand. Okay, technically they died for your right to kneel. They died for your right to stand on your hands and juggle soccer balls with your feet while the national anthem is playing. They don't really care what you do because it's your right to do whatever you want.
Right.
It's just, in the NFL, knowing you are on this global stage of, hey, hundreds of people are watching you, thousands of people are watching you, maybe don't kneel during the one time that everyone else is standing. Maybe call attention to yourself in some other way. At least that's how I would have done it. Granted, I'm
and there's so many different
from Tennessee, but
there's so many different ways that you can do that too.
Is there a wrong way to protest? I guess I don't really like where this discussion is going, where we're arguing how he should have protested, because what happened, and I think it's very interesting that we're talking about how he's protesting and not what the actual cause is.
I just
think that's because the way he protested caused more of a distraction than actually,
I just think he'd still be employed right now.
I don't think
he's not a good quarterback.
He's not a good quarterback.
He would still be.
I mean,
he could
might
be a
be
backup.
someone,
He could be in the NFL, or maybe even just the Tim Tebow of, guys, I talk about football now.
Yeah.
He could try, but I think he'd be going against a very hard competition trying to be anything but a quarterback in the NFL, because in the NFL you're either looked at as talent or you're looked at as someone who is smart in the NFL. Like, you can be an announcer and be that kind of thing. You could pull a Tony Romo if you wanted to.
He's such a good announcer.
And he is a good announcer, but if Colin Kaepernick went anywhere near the NFL and said, hey, I want to be this, they are not going to.
Not anymore.
They're not no, in general. Why would they let him in the minute that he wanted to be that?
There's currently, he has a lawsuit against the NFL right now.
It doesn't, even that,
I mean,
they're not, his chances even more.
Yeah, I'm saying if he had done it differently, if he had done it in a different way, and then not.
He's still giving a big middle finger to the NFL no matter what.
He is. But
it's weird.
I just feel like he would have had a more.
Do you know what his lawsuit's for?
It's for, isn't it for that he was unfairly...
It's Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, and Houston's Deshaun Watson. All three were injured in close to the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And none of them called him. And he goes, I'm being blacklisted by the NFL.
Yep.
They won't let me be a quarterback anymore. Yeah. I'm the best quarterback out here, and they won't call me because they're not allowed to.
And funny.
They're like, no, you've been flipping hamburgers for the past 2 years. Nobody wants you.
No, it's not that he hasn't been flipping. It's not that. It's that he's just not a good quarterback.
He's not a good quarterback. And it was so funny because earlier this year, when this was like a lot more heated of a topic of debate, Michael Vick was even like reaching out to Colin Kaepernick, and it was so funny to read like one of like the word for words that Michael Vick told him. He's like, just do the job. Like, don't try to do all this extra stuff. Like, if you want to play in the NFL, just meet the minimum job requirements, man. Like, it's like, it's not hard.
No one's going to hire you because of your personality.
Yeah,
Teams are going to hire you because of your talent.
Just go to training camp, go to the meetings, go to practice, do your job, you know.
Did he stop doing that with his other teams? Did he stop going to meetings? Did he stop going to practices?
I think they just were like, we don't want you anymore.
I think initially he became too much of like drama. He became too much a distraction.
He was
for the
too
teams.
Much baggage for whatever team he was with, and I think it's his case now. Wherever he goes on a national stage, no, I don't care if you start outperforming Tom Brady. I don't think a team's going to be like,
which is bad. Like I agree that should not be a reason for him.
I think that's what he's arguing.
That is where his lawsuit comes in.
I think
you shouldn't be blacklisted just because of your personality. You should be blacklisted because your talent. You have no talent.
Yeah.
All three of us sitting here are quote unquote blacklisted from the NFL because we don't have the talent to be there.
Yes.
That should be the reason he's not there.
Yeah.
If I'm correct though, I'm pretty sure the 49ers had one of their worst seasons whenever he had his last season with them. Didn't they win maybe 2 games?
It was rough.
It was a horrible season for them. So he's not. So by all means, if you look at his career record, he's pretty even. Yeah. But it's funny that all of his wins where he was like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. People were all talking about how Colin Kaepernick was going to be awesome, and
so true.
He took over from Alex Smith, the 49ers, and the 49ers were putting so much into him, and then this stuff happens. Suddenly his talent starts going down, and what do you do as a team? Do you just sit with suck just because he has personality? No, you go away from that and you get more talent.
Yeah.
And he just didn't meet, like you said, Michael Vick put it very well. Do the minimum requirements, and you're going to be a quarterback. You're an athlete.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't see how he wins the. It's not like they're going to be like, all right, we're having a decathlon. You, Tom Brady, and Russell Wilson are all going to compete in these 7 quarterback events. We're going to rate how you stack up compared to them and Mitchell Trubisky, who's garbage now. We're gonna if you beat Mitchell Trubisky in every single statistic, then you get hired by X team. They can't just say like, oh yeah, he is good enough. He's being blacklisted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if that happens, I'm going and buying a lottery ticket because that would be hilarious.
God. It's interesting. It's so interesting to me how someone can try and twist that to their advantage.
Right. Yeah.
Because it most definitely is not. But I never get why people are arguing about how he protested personally, because I just don't know how you can predict a future outcome from someone saying this country is fundamentally, he is saying this country is doing wrong. This country, something is happening in this country, something is wrong. How can you say that by whatever means he protested, he would have been liked more, he would have been liked less? He got noticed. And arguing that his cause would have probably been better if he had done one thing or the other, I think is a little bit irrelevant right now, because I think he's the last thing that's on people's minds.
I agree with that.
He started the conversation,
but
and he got it going. He didn't do well afterward because he stopped working on his talent. If he was a better quarterback and he was still in the NFL, I think people would still be paying attention to him. Yeah. But I think he went a little too hard into it. That's where you critique him. I think that's where you say you did one of the, you were one of the most infamous quarterbacks of all time for a whole year. Who can say that they are that? Not many quarterbacks can say that. And you were all over headlines. You didn't follow through. Yeah. You didn't stay a good quarterback. You didn't continue to keep your platform. You slid downhill, and you weren't a good quarterback. And then you became talentless. You became something that no team wanted. You did it wrong there. Why does it matter how he started that?
Yeah. Well, you say he started the conversation. What conversation did he start?
The racial divide.
He's saying he brought it up.
I completely disagree with that, because what are people talking about now? They're not still talking about racial injustice or anything like that, they're still talking about people are not standing for the national anthem. They've taken the national anthem off of TV. Football games don't start with the national anthem anymore. They don't start with the flyovers anymore. They just start with kickoff, which is fine because football is football. And I think for the health of the sport, that needs to be the focus. People need to tune in on Sunday afternoons, Thursday nights, Monday nights to watch football,
right?
Not see what Marshawn Lynch is doing now, or see what whichever Bennett brother is doing now, or back in the day what Colin Kaepernick was doing now. For the general health of football, we just need to play football.
Right.
These players have the ability to advocate and protest, but it hurt the product. If we want to talk from the point of a business, these anthem protests hurt their product significantly and most likely permanently. It's going to be hard for them to recover from this because there's an entire generation that's middle finger to the NFL. We have friends that they will never watch another professional football game in their entire lives because of this.
I think it's because the NFL's majority, I would say majority of their viewers are conservative Republicans. Not too many, I don't really envision a lot of, New York City, whatever you want to, I'm not even going to go into anything.
New York has 2 teams.
It does. I don't think that the Giants, Jets.
Giants and Jets.
Yeah. New York. Giants. Right. New York. Jets.
No, he was like Buffalo.
Buffalo, New York.
Oh, well.
You're right.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles Bills.
7 teams.
Let's talk about those Las Vegas Raiders.
Anyway. My personal experiences. None of my quote-unquote liberal friends watch football at all. They think it's stupid. They think it's just a whole bunch of people going around hitting each other. That's fine. You are entitled to think that. Myself, I enjoy it. It just so happens that I'm conservative. I'm not saying that Colin Kaepernick picked the wrong time to do it. I'm saying that on the opposite side of the spectrum, if Tom Hanks wanted to say, I was wrong, guys. Guns are okay. I don't think any sort of Grammys or movie award ceremony is the right time to do that. I think you would go about it a different way so he wouldn't get blacklisted from Hollywood. And I'm not saying that Colin Kaepernick didn't get blacklisted from the NFL because of what he did. But I'm saying I think a lot of people saw him kneel during the national anthem and went, no, you're not going to do that. That is the national anthem. That is a very prideful thing to 88.8% of our viewers, and we are very glad to take their money. You cannot do that. And I'm not even saying that. I'm not past the idea of them saying, hey, guess what? Colin Kaepernick, you're going to take this much money under the table. You're going to throw every single game this year. And then once everyone realizes you're terrible, you're done. And I'm not even so far as to say that that's not what happened. But I think for the general standpoint of it, knowing what most of the viewer base is, I don't think he did it the right way. I do like the argument that he could have done it a better way. I think he could have done it a worse way. He could have streaked on the field. He could have done so many things.
He could have just
been naked I don't really understand that. That's just you're trying to argue how he could get more attention, and I just don't really.
I'm not saying more attention. I'm saying better attention.
Yeah.
What?
Less.
That's what we're saying. Is that it's more of a distraction from the cause than him actually advocating for the cause.
If I was advocating that he could have got more attention, I would have said, Colin Kaepernick, take your paycheck, buy out as much national television time as you can, and just sit and talk in front of the TV. That would be probably the most attention he could get out of anything, but I think that's really stupid. I think if he was just going to kneel or if he was going to do anything, the national anthem is not the best time to do it. He could have sat a game. He could have done so many different things, I just think during the national anthem is on the bottom tier of, hey, you don't do that. Like, it's very close to home for so many people.
Know your crowd.
Yeah.
Know your audience.
He definitely pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Turned them a lot away.
Well, if you'd have done it a different way, who's to say all those people that he pissed off and people got mad at would have been like, oh, he's got a point.
I mean,
I'm not saying they would have done that.
I'm pretty sure.
I feel like there's. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure the 88.8% of people, or however low their numbers are in the NFL are now, are mad at, and feel free to disagree with me on this, they are mad that their football game is being politicized.
Yeah.
And that if you'll agree with me on that, that means that I can eventually make you guys understand that even if he had done it a different way, those people would have still left. Because they don't want their football to be politicized, and a person politicized their football. So it is irrelevant to say how he did it. He still pissed off a lot of people because their football was being politicized and talked over all over the news because of him.
Yeah.
So even if he had sat in a press conference and said everything is wrong about this country, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. Even if he got all the headlines, let's just say for argument's sake, he could have done everything but kneeling for the national anthem and he got all the press that he wanted. Mm-hmm. Football would still have downgrading numbers that it does today.
Okay, well then...
The best way he could have gotten attention was by pissing off a lot of people, and he did it.
Well,
and he didn't care about the consequences of the NFL losing viewers. He just didn't think he would lose his job.
Okay, so let's look at it this way then. So Colin Kaepernick got all this attention, pissed off a whole bunch of people, had a crappy career.
Case closed.
And changed X number of lives. Let's take Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's the golden child of the NFL. At least recently, he's the golden child of the NFL. He can do no wrong.
Right.
Peyton Manning is more successful than Colin Kaepernick could ever imagine to be. Of course, Peyton Manning got to play about 10 times longer than Colin Kaepernick got to play, but that's also because they both made decisions during their career to do different things. Do you think that Peyton Manning has advocated and spent more money, more time, and changed more lives than Colin Kaepernick? This is completely hypothetical because there is no hard evidence.
Fact check this out.
There's no fact check. There's no quantitative means of
This is just an opinion.
This is an opinion.
Yeah, I think. Are you asking me for first and foremost, or
it's up to the board.
Okay,
it's up to the board.
Do you have anything you want to say off the bat?
I think that it doesn't matter who we're talking about. I think.
Well, just answer his question. Do you think that he?
Do I think Peyton Manning has had a bigger outreach?
Yes. Or do you think he has had a bigger impact? Is what you said, right? Impact on more people's lives than Colin Kaepernick.
I would agree with that. Yes.
I would semi-agree, but I would also challenge that I don't think Peyton Manning has the current influence that he had before.
Right. He doesn't have the current influence he has, but Peyton Manning could literally walk anywhere he wants, immediately get recognized for not only being a great football player, but just being a great person. Being very approachable. Now, we're from Tennessee, where there's lots of UT fans there. He is the golden child of Tennessee, and I mean, justifiably so. UT has been completely irrelevant since he was left because UT sucks.
I don't want to talk about it.
Anyway. I want to talk about it. Smushing in the ground. Anyway, all that to be said, that I don't think
Peyton Manning definitely has the mentality of, I want to be remembered as a great guy. Not a great football player. I want to be remembered as a great guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Colin Kaepernick had that mentality at all. I think he was like, dude, you guys can do whatever you want. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, so I'm wondering where you're going with this.
So Colin Kaepernick wanted to enact all this change and wanted to get all this awareness. The business of football. Maybe he should have left it out of work. Maybe he shouldn't have brought that into work with him. Maybe he should have gone to work every day for 15 years, made hundreds of millions of dollars, done this in his spare time, and then when he got out, been like, hey guys, Here's an issue. I've literally been in the trenches for the last 15 years while I've taken the San Francisco 49ers to 3 different Super Bowls, and we won one of them, But here's what I've been doing in my spare time. Now, here's what you can do. He's literally destroyed that for himself. He can no longer be a leader in that. Anytime you bring up the name Colin Kaepernick, he's blacklisted. Immediately, all the conservatives are going to be like,
nope. Yep.
He is a bad person, which is completely wrong. That's not right at all. But that's what their initial reaction is going to be like. He's a bad person. He hates America.
Right.
And that's not even close to true. He just thinks America is not as good as it could be. But the way he went about doing it not only destroyed his career, it destroyed his ability to have a significant impact in that area. He's fighting for the right to just be seen as a eligible quarterback. He's not fighting for the rights of other people.
Right.
Well, he's not advocating. At this point, no. But I mean,
he didn't lose it because he suddenly politicized something. He lost it because he became a sucky quarterback.
He lost it because he became a sucky quarterback and he became too much baggage for any team to take over.
I think that second part is really interesting because I don't know that you're talking about baggage. If he was a good quarterback, what fan for the 49ers is going to fault someone for having one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Who cares what his opinions are?
Dude, there are so many crappy backup quarterbacks that started this season. It's unbelievable.
But it's because are you currently saying that Jay Cutler is better than Colin Kaepernick?
He came out of retirement. Okay, come on. The Miami Dolphins fan is angry now.
It is not that at all. I think Colin Kaepernick is a terrible quarterback. Because if we all agree that the 49ers had one of the more dominant offenses of all time, and then the very next season had one of their worst seasons ever, whose fault is that?
The Carolina Panthers had the exact same thing. They went to the Super Bowl, lost, and literally had one of the worst seasons.
Now they're coming back.
I thought they lost a lot of their players.
No. I mean, they lost some of their players, but I mean, not enough for them to go from the second best team in the NFL to the second worst team in the NFL.
Everyone was talking about how they were going to win it the next year, and then they lost 6 straight, and it was just kind of like, you're terrible. Anyways, Colin Kaepernick, I think he had the platform. I think he was arguably one of the better quarterbacks playing at that time when all this drama or whatever started, because 3 Super Bowls, won one of them. He was a name. He was a face in football.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that the only time he has that pedestal of, you can't say he only had that platform when the cameras were on him. I mean, he can go anywhere and have his same outreach and his same, oh my gosh, it's Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Let's listen to what he says. I probably should not use this example, but if Robert Downey Jr. has something he wants to say, and every time they try to start the rolling of the credits or start the rolling of the film for Sherlock Holmes 3, and he immediately just goes, yeah, screw that. Here's what I think. They're gonna fire him. Regardless of how good of an actor he is, they're gonna be like, no, you can't keep doing this. Stop. You have so many other ways to get your message out there.
I'm pretty sure that's impossible, but okay.
No, they're going to be like, we were going to do Sherlock Holmes 4, but now we're going to have to kill you off in the beginning of the movie, and then it's like, oh, your son that no one knew about is going to come take over, and Watson's going to be like, I will raise you to be like this.
I also think that there needs to be a clear separation here of Colin Kaepernick just being a totally, I wanted to say a certain word, but I think that's not very nice. He is not a nice person outside of football. He actually is not a very is there a good person who thinks that they should sue the NFL because they are blacklisted? No. I think that is incredibly selfish. And I think that really speaks volume to how he acts as a person.
Right.
So if it had been a Peyton Manning that had a Peyton Manning attitude about how he was able to get his message across, I think he could have done a better job that way.
I would argue
my whole thing was just about how I don't think it at all. I don't think what he said had anything to do with it. I think it was just how he said it, and then he lost his ability to play football because he started sucking, and then got taken away from the 49ers because the 49ers were like, we have a crappy quarterback. We don't want this quarterback.
True.
And I will agree with you that I think that the baggage of taking him did have a little bit of an impact on that. Just look, because the NFL saw that out of nowhere. People were dropping the NFL whenever this was happening because their league was being politicized. But I don't think they would have dropped him had he been an amazing quarterback. No team would have ever dropped their quarterback just because of their political views. The New England Patriots would never drop Tom Brady if Tom Brady came out and said this thing. That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys.
Would any team hire Peyton Manning? Okay, I don't care if Peyton Manning has so much CTE that he can't even see straight. The Tennessee Volunteers would hire him tomorrow to be head coach if he wanted to, just because of all of his great publicity.
No.
But see,
you don't agree with that?
No, not at all. He wouldn't lead that team anywhere.
But see, what I'm saying is, like, you use the example of Tom Brady. Like, they would not, like, Robert Kraft is not going to be like, sorry, Belichick, you got to find yourself a new quarterback.
Right.
Brady says he hates babies, and I like babies, so he's out.
Right.
Like, that's never going to happen because Brady is arguably the best quarterback of all time. But sort of my point is Brady's too smart for that.
Yes.
You know, Brady is opinionated. Brady has disagreements. He doesn't think the NFL is run correctly, so he goes and he makes snarky commercials for, like, lock boxes, and they're like, excuse me, Mr. Brady, before you come back, do you want to put your rings into the lock box? And he's like, yeah, sure. And they're like, oh, was it big enough for 4? He's like, I hope it's big enough for 5 because he's about to get 5 Super Bowl rings. And it's like, that's pretty snarky.
That's not even nowhere near a politically.
But that's the point, is the fact that he's too smart to do something like that. He understands that he doesn't want the extra baggage. Tom Brady on the field wants to be remembered for being the best quarterback of all time to play in the National Football League. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Not the quarterback who advocated this. Not the quarterback. Like, it doesn't matter if Tom Brady saved 1,000 orphans from a burning orphanage.
Well,
Tom Brady wants to be known.
Well, yeah, it does.
As it doesn't.
Well, yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
If a guy saves 1,000 orphans from an orphanage,
but that's not going to make him a better quarterback. Like, all the great.
It'll add to Tom Brady the brand.
It's going to add to Tom Brady the brand, not Tom Brady the quarterback.
Yeah, Tom Brady the quarterback is a part of Tom Brady the brand. I can't.
Right, but it's a different part of the brand. It's not synonymous with each other.
The brand as a whole is what Colin Kaepernick was trying to bring up. He dropped the football part and went all in on the political thing. And what happened? The market went, no, go away.
Guys, that's like me coming into work tomorrow instead of being like, all right, here we go, boys. We're gonna be slinging some barbecue like we always do. Instead, I come into work and it's like, all right, boys, we're gonna be selling.
We're gonna
hair products now. It's like every platter we send out, make sure to send out a comb with it. It's like, no, you idiot. This is your full-time job. Come in and do your job. If you have an opinion, save it for the break table.
Wait, what are you talking about? What does hair products have to do with barbecue?
That's the point. It has no place in barbecue.
No,
there was no place for his.
You're mixing up football with brand. If Colin Kaepernick as a brand wants to say something about hair products, that's fine. Let's just use that as an example. Colin Kaepernick the brand is not the same as Colin Kaepernick the football. Colin Kaepernick the football goes with Colin Kaepernick the brand.
So you're saying
you would have lost your job, would you have not? So then your part in that job is no longer part of this.
Odell Beckham almost missed this season because he was in Las Vegas trying to expand his brand and not coming to practice.
Yeah, he did.
It's because he was trying to expand his own brand.
Yes, which is what Colin Kaepernick did, and he screwed up. He put too much into that.
Which is exactly what I just said.
Hold on, no.
Your
problem there was that you said Tom Brady, the quarterback, was Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady, the brand, is a lot of the football.
I'm saying Tom Brady, the quarterback, is not dumb enough to bring something else that has nothing to do with football into football.
Yes.
Because it will ruin his job, which is what Colin Kaepernick did. I mean, besides the fact that he was a crappy football player.
That is literally it. You just said what I'm saying. He wanted to keep football a part of him, and he tried bringing political things into it, and he did it wrong because he lost his skill in football and no one wants him anymore. Not because he brought it in, because he lost his skill. That is what it is. I've told you, you guys have agreed with me on this. If he was the best quarterback in the league, a team would have him. but he lost his ability to play because he put too much into politicizing himself.
I disagree with
said-
that. I don't.
He
think,
is not a good quarterback.
He's not a good
Did he-
quarterback.
did he
When he
skip-
came back,
Did he
it was
skip
like,
practice to
I don't
advocate
know.
this stuff? I don't know either. But you're saying that
Look at his record.
right. But you're saying he was the best and then he was the worst within one season.
No, within 2 seasons.
Within 2 seasons, he was the best and then he was the worst.
Yeah, it's over time. It happens over time.
Time value of money.
Oh my god. He was a big figure. I think everyone in the league agreed at one point he was better than a Cam Newton for that team. Did you see how he led them to the Super Bowl?
Right.
Did you see
he
what
was
he did
good.
for that team? And then he politicized himself and he was like, this is only going to make me bigger. And then he lost his ability to play football because he put too much into that politicizing stuff. Not only that, something else must have gone wrong in his head. Maybe he was a ticking time bomb. Why do you think he started sucking? Because he brought up his political views? No, he started sucking because he put too much into that and not enough into football. And that is all I'm trying to say. Tom Brady is smart enough to keep being a good quarterback, not to bring in his political views. He's going to continue to be a good quarterback because he's going to put the time into it to be a good quarterback. And he's going to continue to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. Does anybody know what Tom Brady's political views are?
No, but
Because he doesn't talk about it.
But if he brought them in, he still would be a good quarterback because at the end of the day, he knows that to keep his brand up and to keep him going, he has to be a good quarterback.
Right.
And if he decided to bring in his views, then he would still be a good quarterback and people would still keep him.
He would still be a good quarterback, but it would hurt him by the brand because it would take away, it would distract from the product.
Do you have an example of that working?
Colin Kaepernick.
No, because once again,
I have an example.
You have to take into account that Colin Kaepernick put too much into the other thing and not enough into the football.
I have an example.
He lost his platform because he became a bad quarterback, not because he brought in the political stuff. You have to keep those separate. If he had brought what I would argue is that he could have put more into football and brought his political opinions in while still being a great quarterback. But he didn't do that.
But he didn't do that.
He didn't.
He
fail.
stopped focusing on his job to focus on this other stuff.
Yes, and Tom Brady would not continue to would continue to focus on his job, but if he wanted to bring his political views, he would continue to put enough time into his job to continue to be a good quarterback and to continue to be a good figure in the NFL still have his political views viewed.
This has
Why doesn't he
turned
do that?
into a...
Because he puts a bajillion hours into being a good quarterback, so he doesn't feel like bringing in his political views. I'm pretty sure if Tom Brady knew a way where he could spend enough time on his political views versus spending enough time on his being a great quarterback, he would do it.
It's called retirement.
No,
It is
not. That is not what it's called because Peyton Manning is no longer having the NFL
Nationwide.
as a good platform.
Hey, nationwide.
It's on your side.
I don't really buy that there is a way like that just because political views that like you see a cause and effect in seeing political views taking up political views were suddenly his number one and football was suddenly his second one, thus end of story. I see it as political views became his number one. He didn't put enough time into football. Thus, he is no longer a good quarterback. Thus, he lost.
Is that your opinion or is that fact based?
I mean, the only thing I have to base it off of fact is that he had one of the best seasons, his first season, when he had no political views.
Or at
that
least
were brought
not out there.
That were brought out. And then, so he could focus all of his time on football. And then whenever he got the platform and whenever he decided to put more into his political views, he lost all the time that he was able to put into football and continue to be a good quarterback, thus having one of the worst 2 seasons the 49ers have ever seen, becoming an irrelevant quarterback.
Right.
And just real quick, Jay Cutler is a way better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick right now. I'm just wanting to say that I would not have hired Jay Cutler.
I wouldn't have hired Jay Cutler.
And no one would have hired Jay Cutler.
No one would have hired Jay Cutler.
But good grief, Colin Kaepernick, look at his highlights.
Who is a
his
better
last 2
quarterback?
seasons.
Colin Kaepernick or
Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman? Go.
Answer
that question.
Nathan Peterman's from UT. Nathan Peterman.
You suck. He threw 5 interceptions in the first half.
That's
At this point, you are saying that whether it's fact-based or opinion-based, you are saying that Colin Kaepernick's attention was on the outside world instead of football, and that is why he started to slip away skill level wise, and that now that's why he lost his job, and that's why he is done. That is at least that is what I'm understanding from your point of view.
Yes, he didn't put enough time into being a quarterback. Yes.
What I'm saying now is, and I kind of hate to say this because as stupid as he is, I might slightly be agreeing with Colin Kaepernick. I'm saying right now that as much stuff as there is, the cloud of smoke surrounding Colin Kaepernick's name is so much now that Colin Kaepernick could be 1,000 times better of a quarterback than Tom Brady. Right now. But who's going to give him the chance to show it?
What are you talking about?
I'm saying, you said that he let his skills slip away and that he was no longer good, and that's why they let him go. He's been out of the limelight for however many years.
Talent-wise, not political-wise, but yes, talent-wise. He became GQ's Man of the Year.
GQ's Man of the Year.
So he still has
he still has some political outreach.
Travesty.
Anyhow,
travesty.
I can't say this with any sort of fact, and you all can't disprove it.
I can't afterward. I have a way to disprove it afterward.
What I'm going to say is I can't prove or disprove that he's been in the gym or on a field or with someone every single day since the day he was fired. Like, he could be Rocky Montage honing his skills for the past 5 years. I wouldn't know it. I don't think either of you would know it. I'm just saying right now, let's say, for example, just to throw it out there, hypothetical, Colin Kaepernick is in his prime again. Like, right now. Do you think there's any NFL team that is just like, oh, yeah?
Yes. How many teams are struggling for quarterbacks? A lot of teams.
But how many quarterbacks are there?
Not many that are... If you are a better quarterback than any quarterback in the NFL, you're going to get noticed very quickly.
As a general manager right now, you can either have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is no publicity. He will get you 6 wins, 6 losses, and he'll be injured for the rest of the season. That is what you get. It's in the contract when you sign him. He's like, I'm going to win you 6 games. I'm going to lose 6 games.
And if you have a starter quarterback in front of me, he is going
to die. But on the other hand, you say, you're saying from the point of, I don't care what people think about my team. I don't care what people think about Colin Kaepernick. I'm hiring because he will win me games.
Yes.
If that were the case, I think we would have a lot different picture of the NFL. I think we would have a couple different people playing versus not playing.
Well, name me someone else who is a public figure that has a position of skill in the NFL.
I will say Odell is a great example of this because Odell is a trash bag off the field. Sometimes on the field.
What is his political view? Just tell me.
I'm not even talking politically. He's a crybaby.
That is what we're talking about. You're talking about someone who has a public figure and is not because he is talent based, and he was hired because he's a public figure. Who is that?
I'm saying just. Oh my gosh. I'm saying, just in Odell's case, Odell will catch a touchdown pass. He will celebrate.
Stop there. He will catch a touchdown pass.
Yes.
That's all the Giants want from him.
Okay.
Wow.
That is all that you
and then
literally admitted.
He will over-celebrate and get penalties, and then they're bumping them back however many yards.
They're going to win the game, though.
Whenever he doesn't get the ball or whenever he doesn't catch a touchdown pass, he is hitting a kicking net with his helmet. It comes back and hits him in the face. What if it cut his eye and he had to sit the rest of the game? Then he doesn't catch any more touchdown passes. He's just being stupid for the sake of being stupid whenever he's not on the field.
I am so confused as to why you're calling one of the best receivers in the league right now. He shouldn't be on an NFL team just because of it.
I'm not saying that.
He overreacts.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you are saying from the CEO standpoint, it is net goal better to hire him or better to have him on the field than to have him off the field.
Of course, he's one of the best receivers in the league.
Right. So I'm saying if Colin Kaepernick is the best,
he's not.
But how do you know? Did you watch him play last week?
No, we just talked about it early on in the conversation. The NFL is a talent league.
Right. It's a meritocracy.
And according to Mike Vick, He's not even doing the bare minimum to get himself there. If he wanted to do the bare minimum to get himself there, he would put himself out there. If you look at his Instagram, I know this sounds really stupid. But if you look at his Instagram, he has done nothing to work on his football. Nothing at all. He's literally just making himself a public figure. Which is his choice.
It is his choice.
He's also choosing to focus all of his time into a lawsuit. He wouldn't have lawsuited the NFL had he not just continued to be a better quarterback.
I want to know how much money he got while he was with the 49ers.
It wasn't much, wasn't it? Because he didn't have that great
He was still on his rookie contract.
I want to know where he's getting this money to sue the NFL, because the NFL has a lot more money than he has.
I think he got a Nike deal after his first year in the NFL. When people were starting to see him as an amazing quarterback, he got a Nike deal and he got money.
I'm saying I can't prove or disprove, and I don't think either of you can, Colin Kaepernick's level of skill at this moment.
We can talk about his recent skill, though, or his most recent that we know of, which is that he sucked.
Right, but that was how many years ago?
So why would he be getting... That was, what, at most 2 years ago? Right? Right? When was his last season?
It was
2 years
ago. It was a while back.
Was that right? 2005? I thought 2005 was his last season.
2005?
Sorry, 2015. I'm sorry.
I thought it was 13, somewhere around there.
I thought it was 2015 because he had a couple of years in the.
He had the Afro seasons.
No, I guess you're right.
I also because last year I don't remember him, but the year before that was 2015. I think that's when he was
right because that was when the Dolphins Cuban player hit him, and they were like, "What a great moment for the world!"
Oh my god!
His last play, he gets sacked by a Cuban American.
But just off his most recent record, if you go off of how poorly he was doing in the NFL, put any other quarterback in that situation. Just this'll literally blow your mind, I guess. If any other quarterback was doing as bad as him on that team, they would have benched that quarterback, would they not?
Yes. But
so he's out.
You're saying
because he's a bad
they
quarterback.
would never take him back because he's a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay. Jay Cutler.
You're a talent industry. Jay Cutler was a risk because they thought his talent and his relationship with his coach might have gotten him some wins.
That's why he
not
got hired.
Because he's a public figure.
Yeah.
Right.
Not because of his public publicity.
Not because he looks stoned every time.
Which is kind of funny, but just I think you're agreeing with me. You just don't really realize you're agreeing with me.
I hate that I'm agreeing with Colin Kaepernick. I'm just saying. I don't know how.
It is a talent industry. I don't know what else to say.
It is.
So if he doesn't have the talent, he's not going to be on the team.
Right. I'm saying he is asking for either a chance or something.
He has had 2 years. Not only that, he had 2 years with the 49ers after his Super Bowl appearance to prove that he has a chance. And he lost it because he had the most losses in 2 seasons out of a lot of quarterbacks that have made it to the Super Bowl.
To Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. He had to be that bad.
I'm not arguing he wasn't bad. I'm not arguing that he wasn't bad.
What are you talking about?
I'm arguing that maybe now he is better than he was.
Tell me why he would be a better quarterback if he no longer has the staff, the coaches, and the players around him to help him be a better quarterback when he has no team to sign with.
I don't know. I'm saying that
Terrell Owens is claiming he's still a good wide receiver.
I'm saying
no one's going to hire him
now,
because he's not a good wide receiver.
I'm saying that right now, every NFL team, in my opinion, looks at the name Colin Kaepernick and doesn't care at all, just goes, no. Because that is what I would do. I would go, no, I don't care.
I'm not.
Doesn't matter what skill, whatever. I just no.
I will say, I said this a while ago. I will say there is a little bit of influence on wanting to take him back. He would have to be miles better than a quarterback who would be like a backup.
Right.
He wouldn't be hired as a backup quarterback. He'd have to be a starting quarterback because he has to be that good in order for someone to take on him. I understand that.
He could get signed as a practice team quarterback.
That's true.
He could